We're on Intro to Percent. It says, Leona and Paris were looking at a model in Mrs. Henry's class. Leona says the model represents 12% because 12 squares were shaded. Paris says that's not true. How could Paris explain her reasoning to Leona? Well, part of this is how many squares are there total? Well, there's 15, right? So we have 12 out of 15 squares total. The only way that it could be 12% is if we had 100 squares, and we do not. So remember that percent. Per means out of, and cent means 100. Like there's 100 cents in a dollar. There's 100 years in a century. A centurion is the captain over 100 troops. So anytime you see CENT, we know that means that it is 100. So 12% would be 12 out of 100, not 12 out of 15. Percentage is written from part to whole ratio, where the whole is always 100. Percents can be written as a fraction out of 100 or a decimal. For example, 78% would be 78 over 100, or 78 hundredths, which we write as 0.78. Another example would be 3/5. Remember, numerator goes inside, denominator goes outside. So the 3 goes inside. We're going to finish this. It doesn't go into 3, but 5 goes into 36 times. And then that would be 0.60 or 60%. Because you need to remember, to the right, everybody moves your decimals to the right 2 places. So we're going to write our answer in fraction, decimal, and percent for each model below. Now I will say all of these models are 100. So our fractions are always going to be out of 100. So we're going to count them. And we get 10, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 25. This can be simplified to 1/4. Our decimal, though, is going to be written as 25 hundredths. See that right there? That's actually how we say that fraction as well, 25 hundredths, or 25 out of 100. And then my percent would be 25%. So this one I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 65 out of 100. This I can divide by 5. 100 divided by 5 is 20, and 65 divided by 5 is 13. So this is also 13/20ths. But here we change this. We say its name to make it into a decimal. So 65 hundredths, 0.65. And then we move to the right, Everybody moves your decimal to the right 2 places to get that 65%. Okay, this one here, I have 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15. So I have 15 out of 100, or 15 hundredths. There we go. And we're going to go to the right, Everybody moves your decimal to the right 2 places to get your 15%. So percent problems can be used solving proportions or equations. The first thing we're going to do is set up a proportion using the formula below. Percent over 100 equals part over whole. I also use the words is and of here because a lot of time the is and of are keywords. We're going to plug in those values into our percent equation and then solve for the missing value. So let's take a look at this. This is our part. This is our percent. This is our whole. And this is always out of 100. So we rotate that 90 degrees and we get percent over 100 equals part to whole. So I have, in this case, I don't know my percent, so I'm going to put an X over 100 equals my part, which is 1, right here, over my whole, which is 5. And how do I solve that? Well, I hope you're all saying cross multiply and divide, because that's exactly what you do. 100 times 1 is 100, divided by 5 is 20. So I get X is 20. What is it? 20%, because that's what we were looking for. Okay, let's fill this out. Part equals percent times whole as a decimal. So I have 1 equals X times 5. So 1 is 5X. And this is where I divide. That gives me my 1/5. So I get my decimal is 0.20. And this time to the right, to the right. Everybody moves your decimals to the right. 2 places to get your percent. Okay, let's look at this tape diagram and see if we can figure this out. Remember, this is my part. This is my whole. So I'm going to write part to whole equals percent 20 over 100. Part, whole, percent over 100. Now, you need to cross multiply. 20 times 80 is 8, add 2 zeros, 800 divided by 100. So over here on the side, 800 divided by 100 is the whole number 8. So I get X is 8, and this is my part. So right here, this would be 8. Let's try this tape diagram. Okay, remember, this is my part, 24. My whole is X this time. 75 is my percent out of 100. We're going to cross multiply, then divide. Off to the side over here, 24 times 100 is 2,400 divided by 75. 75 goes in here 3 times. That's 5, 120, 225. Subtract and bring down, and we get a 2 there. That's 150. That gives us 0. So we get X. Oops. Give me a color you can see. X is 32. So our whole in this case is 32. Now, this is why I also say is over of equals percent over 100, because those are the words that show up the most in these questions. So you see what number is? That is my part. So is my missing piece. I'm going to put an X. And then we have 12% over 100 of, look at that. There's that other magic word, of 315. That's my whole. So I have 315 goes here. I would say 95% of the time in these problems, you will find those numbers. So over here, we're going to be multiplying 315 times 12. And adding that up. And I get 3,780, and I need to divide that by 100, which is just moving my decimal place over 2 places. So I get 37.8. Okay, percent over 100 is of what number? There's your X, and that's your whole, is 45. That's your part. Okay. Sorry about that. My voice is going. What percent? We are missing our percent this time. Of 40, that's our whole, is 25. That goes on top. Now, I set these up for you. I expect you to solve those and find me what X is. Okay, you're going to do number 9 and 10. You're going to give me 2 to 3 sentences in a beautiful summary. And I will see you guys in class tomorrow. Have a great night.